my parents went to Greece, and I took the entire furniture and I moved it out of the living room. And all the neighbors thought we were moving because they see a pile of furniture in the window. But what I did is, my parents were away in Greece. I made a little rehearsal area and I lit the house on fire.
Criss Angel is literally a rock star magician that exudes passion, love, and joy with everything he does. He's 100% authentic and genuine. And he's one of those guys that looks right into your eyes when you're talking to him, and he really listens and absorbs everything you say. He's super present and in tune, and there's no one like Criss, that's for sure. He's unique, one of a kind, living his life loud, and I mean very loud. And this dude ain't dying on the vine. This guy's 100% present and always giving 150%, or he'll die trying. Fueled by passion and love for what he does, he's definitely living his life with his purpose and with his deepest desires. Now, I just met him, and within seconds, I felt like I've known him my entire life, like a brother. We were both just performing in Indianapolis at the Indianapolis Colts Lucas Oil Stadium for a sold-out crowd of 50,000 people for a Jim Irsay collection concert. Now, Criss did an amazing trick, breaking record held by Harry Houdini. How about that? By escaping a straitjacket while suspended upside down with his feet shackled at 100 feet in the air by his ankles. And he's afraid of heights, by the way. And we all watched him aggressively thrash and wiggle himself out of that straitjacket upside down in a matter of seconds or a few minutes. I mean, my contribution was much, much safer than that, because I was playing the drums with the Jim Irsay Collection Band for 3 hours, featuring Kenny Wayne Shepherd, Mike Mills, Stephen Stills, Ann Wilson, Peter Wolf, and John Cougar Mellencamp. Now, most people know Criss as the rock star magician, illusionist, and a singer. But I love that he also is a drummer, and I want to know more about that. For decades, Criss has been a pop culture phenomenon, creating and starring in television shows, stage shows, a Broadway show, and many television specials and promotional appearances, while being a center figure in popularizing magic. He currently has a residency to perform his newest critically acclaimed TV show on A&E, MINDFREAK Live, at Planet Hollywood in Las Vegas, and I'm going to check that out when I get there. All right, MINDFREAK was one of the most successful magic TV shows of all time. He also premiered his latest TV show, Criss Angel's Magic with the Stars, in October of last year, which aired on the CW. Criss holds multiple world records, along with 6 Magician of the Year awards, a Magician of the Decade award, as well as a Magician of the Century award. That's crazy. And of course, he received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 2017. But there's more, lots more. He's also a musician that has recorded many albums with his band Angeldust. And he's an author and is constantly creating and combining magic with rock and roll. Now, Criss, people say I'm the hardest working man in showbiz, which is pretty spot on. But you're at another level, dude, the highest level imaginable. So, dude, I appreciate you finding time to squeeze in my podcast, dude. Man, welcome.
It's awesome to be on, Kenny. And like you said in your amazing speech to set me up in my intro, like, you know, when we first met, and obviously I'm very familiar with who you are because of all the incredible success that you exude with your talent on those drums, among other things. And when we met, I just can feel right away, you know, you feel the camaraderie, the brotherhood, and you know that, you know, this guy's cut from the same cloth. And I felt that immediately. And that's why I said, if you ever need me to do your podcast, I'm always happy to do it and honored to do it. And thank you so much for thinking of me.
Yeah, man. I mean, when we were hanging out during the Colts kickoff game, I was like, God damn, I feel like I grew up with this guy. I felt like we were in bands together or something, you know. It was just, and so I felt a little bit like, well, I would love to have him because I have to film a bunch before I go. I'm about to do a 2 week speaking tour, and I thought I got to get. I would love to have Criss come in, and man, I appreciate it. Now, are you in Vegas right now? Is that where you?
Yes, I'm at my home in Vegas, actually in my office, and I do 5 shows a week over at Planet Hollywood with my show MINDFREAK, and so tonight I'll be doing that at 7 o'clock. And I've been, so blessed to be able to do almost what do I have? Almost 7,000 shows in Vegas, and MINDFREAK out of 500 shows is the number one best-selling residency show in Las Vegas. So I've worked really hard, my incredible cast and crew. Nothing came easy, and we're just very honored and humbled to do what we love, to hear the audience every night, and it never gets old. We're always listening to the audience, trying to evolve and transform and make it better for the audience as an experience, and something hopefully that will be very memorable for them.
Okay, I got to ask you. Oh, well, first of all, how many people are in the production? I mean, how many people back behind the scenes
Oh,
and
there's
on
a
stage?
lot. I would say if I had to take a guess off the top of my head, I would say almost 40.
Wow, 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 wow.
And that's a
And
small production because, I own the production. So there's show and business, but without the business, there's no show. And so I perform and I can make a little money or I can make a lot of money. And I'm going to spend the same amount of time. So I choose to be fiscally responsible, give people the most incredible entertainment they can have in the world. But I also try to make it fiscally responsible. I'm not an artist that just spends money and doesn't think about like what the operating expenses are and how do we give people the ultimate experience, but be able to do it for many, many years to come.
did you? I mean, your dad. I read that your dad had like a donut shop. I mean, did you? Was that the type of thing? You know, obviously your dad worked his butt off. It was a family business. Did all you and your brothers and sisters all work at the shop, and you learned, kind of a lot of these skills: how to treat people, how to serve people, how to run a business. Did you kind of learn that from him?
100%. My dad was the most amazing man that I've ever met. And, he always said, if you want to understand a business, you have to be the dishwasher, you have to be the server, you have to be the cook, you have to be the owner, you have to be everything. And I really took that advice as sound advice. My dad always told me, if you want to be successful, hang out with people doing what you want to do, that you want to be successful at, that are successful. Let it rub off on you. If you hang out with shit, you start to smell like it. So I never went to college. I took the short bus in school. I wasn't very smart. Still, I'm not. But I put that sweat equity in. And my dad always instilled in me that, anything is possible. If you believe in something and you're willing to work for it, you put that effort in, it's achievable. Maybe not on your timetable, but it absolutely can be something that you can achieve. The other thing, my dad is crazy. My dad was a very like streetwise guy. Like he did this. Like I wanted to play the drums, and my older brothers played the guitar and I think the keyboard, and I wanted to play the drums. So my dad bought me this like Mickey Mouse 3-piece drum set. I was 6 years old, and I loved the drums because of the pedal, the bass pedal, because I thought it reminded me of a gas pedal of a car because I was also obsessed with cars. And so I got this drum set. I was playing it. Then he got a teacher for me, and I studied. And then the teacher said he needs like a real drum set. So my dad, instead of just like getting rid of it, he puts it in the paper. He sells it for more money than he paid for it. Then he's like, "Oh, there's a music business here." So that's how I really learned business because my dad, we had at one time, you won't believe this, Kenny, but we had probably 35 to 40 different drum sets in our home. We had cymbals,
What?
accessories. We actually made our own drum set that we were then selling like a 3-piece kit. But we had Pearl, Ludwig, Slingerland. Then my brother evolved that years later into a music store, which I named and came up with a logo called Monster Music in Levittown, New York on Hempstead Turnpike. So you never know how something is going to affect you and really be part of your future. But that was really my college when my dad used to make me sell drums as I'm talking 12, 13, 14 as a teenager, bring the drum set, load it in the car, get the cash, and really learn about wheeling and dealing and kind of be likable and have personable skills and all that stuff.
Dude, that is so badass. I mean, that's it. You just said so much. Hey, but compliment to you though. This all resonated in you, which meant it was already there in you, but your dad was giving you all this information. Because you could have been the kid like, drums, whatever. But the thing is, and you answered my question. I was going to say, what came first? Music or magic? But obviously, music came first.
Well,
Right?
believe it or not, I started drums when I was 6, but at 6 as well, true story, my amazing Aunt Stella taught me my first card trick, which I loved magic. But when I was 10 or 11, I got a magic kit under the Christmas tree. And then that really got me bitten with the magic bug. And I tried to make it in music, dude, for years. And I had development deals with, Jason Flom from Lava. He was at Atlantic. Craig Kalman, Jim Lewis from Polygram. I had all types of things happen, but I just didn't have. I wasn't ready at the time. I wasn't talented in being able to do what I needed to do at that time, which was the '80s. I mean, you know, I played out in clubs. I played like Limelight. I used to play the drums, but then I was like, I wanted to be in the front and I wanted to do magic and music, and that was kind of like a rock, a rock magic show, like that. That was kind of a rock and roll magic show, and it just never happened for me. I had development deals, and it was such a blessing because I wanted it so bad. Like I could taste it, and I played, like these really Limelight, Webster Hall, all these clubs, and I did magic and music, all these crazy things. But it was a blessing because for me, you're very gifted in what you do and your instrument, and you're able to be a leader in that and be able to play different types of music and really be a very talented drummer where you can always find work. And but with the type of music I was doing, I wasn't a talented musician. I was a guy I had the image, I had the spectacle, but at the time I wasn't ready as a vocalist and stuff. Now I'm much better. I could still, I still do songs, write songs. I do all the music in the show, but I realized that the music business, unless you're established like you are, is such a fickle business. And now the record companies kind of, imploded because of the internet. And so now record companies do 360 deals and all these crazy things. So for me, Jason Flom gave me the best advice. He said, Criss, there are people in Las Vegas that have been doing the same act for 50 years, making billions of dollars. Do that and then write the music for that. Get off, with the music by creating the music for your show, but do the magic thing. And I did that eventually, and I'm still doing it today.
Jason is a rock star at what he does. He sees things that other people don't see. That's brilliant. And you touched on something that, I mean, look at you and I are where we are because we took whatever talent we had and we had this passion to do what we want to do. And when you have passion, you take whatever talent you have and you work your butt off and you self-discipline, you persevere because you want to do it, because you have this passion, you will eventually succeed. This is what I call we're these guys that are like unstoppable, undeniable, and 100% authentic. You're not going to stop us because this is what we got to do.
Tenacity, stick-to-itiveness, or perseverance. Like, if I could succeed on this level, really, anyone can do it. I'm a testament to it. But you got to put that sweat equity in. You can't talk about it. The actions speak louder than those words. And I learned so much more from failure than I did from success.
Oh man, I mean, all the great quarterbacks, I always say Tom Brady, it doesn't matter, Mahomes, when they get sacked, they're immediately going, forget that. Okay, we can't do that. We're going to do that. They're always achieving success from the things that didn't work out for them. A mistake, a fumble, it's just amazing. So how did you end up in Vegas from like Long Island?
Vegas was the magic capital of the world. There were more magicians and more magic shows here per square foot than anywhere else in the world. And so I came out to Vegas in the 90s. I actually worked for Steve Wynn for a short time. And then I realized that this was the place to be, but I needed a vehicle to be here. And so I had a show called MINDFREAK on Broadway and 43rd that I didn't have any managers. I sold it myself right after 9/11. I took a $360,000 loan out against my mom's house, and then a 50,000 business revolving credit line. I had $410,000 to put on a show for 145 people in the WWE banquet room that I converted into the underground theater. And I had some success with that. I was supposed to do 12 weeks. I ended up doing, 14 months. And I turned that by myself without a manager. I turned that into 3 television specials. One was called MINDFREAK on, what was that on? That was on
A&E.
no, that wasn't A&E yet. That was a special on ABC Family. And then I did another TV special on Sci-Fi. Then I went to Japan and I did a 2 hour live special out there. And then when I came back, I was able to, get this television series on A&E. And I thought the ultimate place to do it was Vegas. And that's when I came out to Vegas in 2004, I believe. And I started shooting. And in 2005, MINDFREAK on A&E came out. And it was, an enormous success. To this day, it's still the number one prime time magic series of all time. I have about what do I have? I think it's just about 6 billion views, like worldwide. It's pretty insane, and that's what really set up the live show. Then I used one thing as an opportunity to help launch the next project. And I still do that to this day. I'm working on so many different projects, and I always use one to help the other. And it's been such a blessing. But what you put in is what you get out. If you don't put the effort in, it doesn't happen.
But you're so passionate about what you do on many levels. I mean, you love dealing with people. You learn you have what your dad had, that like, oh well, oh drum kit, oh let's do that. And then that's cool. And then from that you go to that and then
Here's the secret. I am not the most talented at what I do. What I am is the hardest working. You'll never meet
yes.
another performer. Like I will die before I give up. Like I'm studying right now MMA. That's my thing. And I train with 2-time UFC heavyweight champion Frank Mir. The guy's a beast, and he has more submissions and he's given more broken bones to anyone in the UFC heavyweight division. And yesterday I had Anthony Pettis, who's the lightweight champion of the UFC, and I sparred with him yesterday. And I have a goal in mind. I have a lot of learning to do, but I'm relentless, and my work ethic outperforms my talent for anything I ever do.
Dude, I'm the same guy, dude.
You're insanely talented. Come on. What you do.
Yeah, but when I was 18, the day I graduated high school and everybody's going to college, I was going to college to study music. I was practicing 8 hours a day, 7 days a week. I tell my mom, people be calling me up, hey, let's party, man, with Kenny. It's the summer. We just graduated high school. I'm like, nope. 7 days a week, 8 hours a day. That was the beginning of pedal to the metal. Dude, I relate to you so much. Oh my God.
That's the same thing with me. I didn't even go to my prom.
Yeah.
I didn't even go.
I love it.
My friends would come to my house and I took my parents went to Greece and I took the entire furniture and I moved it out of the living room. And all the neighbors thought we were moving because they see a pile of furniture in the window. But what I did is my parents were away in Greece. I made a little rehearsal area and I lit the house on fire. The carpet went up in flames. There was so much smoke damage in the house. When my parents came back, we had to like redo everything. But that's how crazy. And my friends would come by, be like, "No, I'm cool. I just because I had something in my mind, and that's when I woke up. That's what I thought about. When I went to bed, that's what I thought about. And to this day, the journey, as Bill Aucoin, Kiss's manager, Billy Idol, Billy Squire once said to me when I was struggling, he said, I was sitting, and I have a picture of this, sitting next to a dumpster in California. Just got done doing a showcase. And I was depressed. And he said, "What's the matter?" And I said, I put all my eggs in one basket, Bill. I don't know what the hell's going to happen. And he said, "The journey is far greater than the destination." And I was like, he's like, "One day you'll understand that." He said, "This is the best time of your life." And I was like, "How can you say that?" I'm like,
I know.
a Hyundai with 220,000 miles on it. Every time I hit the gas, carbon monoxide comes in the car, dioxide. It's a disaster. And he says, "One day you'll miss these days because you will make it. I know you will make it." And the thing is it is so much more difficult to remain number one, the most relevant at your craft than to get there. Once you get there, that journey is easier. It's exciting. You don't know what's going to happen. It's unexpected. But once you're there and you get a taste of money and you get a taste of success, it's very easy to become complacent. And for me, I see it in fighters all the time. I don't believe my own hype. I don't watch that stuff. I have to be at the top of my game. And it's harder now. My work ethic is more commitment now than it was when I was trying to make it. It's crazy.
Dude, I mean, dude, you're speaking my language. You're speaking, like when I did that, we were doing 12-hour rehearsals with Irsay for that show. I am a pit bull. I'm exactly like you. I don't fuck around. I am focused. I am every song, every note. I write every note out.
You do the charts, right? You do the actual, like on your mute reading. It's crazy.
Every single note.
Yeah.
I mean, every fill, everything. I know who has to tune the guitars. I know when to count off. I have a click for everything. I'm flipping with my foot.
It's insane. What you do is just I'm in awe of that because I didn't have that talent in the drums. I was really good when I was 14. I was like really a good drummer, but I didn't have that passion for it. And I remember I had this drum teacher. His name was Mike Colombo. He was in a a band like the Stray Cats, what kind of rockabilly band. And I was doing something. He says, "Do you know what you're playing?" And I said, "No." And he says, "Well, don't you want to know what you're playing as opposed to playing it?" He's like, "You're doing a paradiddle right now." He's like, let's start reading music and play to the music." Wasn't my gig. And the fact that you do that and you write that, because I saw you. You're sitting at the iPad and you're just like looking and you're literally playing to what you're reading.
Well, like for example, so like Sammy Hagar, I just did a gig with Sammy Hagar.
I love
his
Sammy.
band, yeah, I know, who doesn't? So I had a 90-minute rehearsal, and we're playing Van Halen songs. So every note that Alex played, why wouldn't I play every note that Alex played? It was perfect. That's just like when I did rock and roll with Ann Wilson. I played every note that John Bonham did because why would I do anything different? Those guys. So anyway, Sammy turned around at one point, goes, "Damn, how do you read music and make it sound like you're not reading?" I said, "Oh, that took about 30 years. 30 years. But here's the deal. So, like when I got off the Joe Satriani tour recently, I had 80 songs for 5 different things. I can't remember 80 songs, not to mention at the rehearsals, they're changing everything. So I learned how to write it down, and then you're going to love this. I was doing a Melissa Etheridge tour. I only had 9 hours to learn a 3-hour show because I was so friggin' busy. So I'd stay up at night till 3 in the morning after my sessions and write every note out. We rehearsed. And it took me about 3 weeks to memorize the show. While I was on the show, I was reading. She turned around one night in front of 15,000 people and went, real nice, because she's an incredible person. She goes, I can tell when you're reading. But this is what I did. I said, that's not good. So I learned how to step out of myself and watch myself and hear myself as if I was the producer, as if I was in the audience. I'd be going like, is that drummer sound like he's reading? And if I did sound like that, I went, you can't do that. You've got to always sound like it's live and you're in flow and you're not reading. Because think about this. If you're reading, let's say that's 20% of your brain is going into reading. Well, that's 20% that's not in flow, not performing. So I went, you got to always be 100% in flow and somehow read on top of that.
Well, it's like being an actor. You have script. You can't sound like you're reading the script in your mind.
Exactly. Oh my God. Listen, you're blowing my mind. You're doing this cage fighting stuff. Oh my God. All right. So you were always into martial arts, right?
I have been, yeah. I used to do a few styles, not really very disciplined in it, but I always loved it since I was a kid.
All right. So your show, I mean, obviously, to do what you do, after I saw you do what you did, and I know, and I've seen videos of you, I mean, you got to be physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually healthy. You've got to be to pull that shit off like that, all of that. It's all those 4 things.
You know how I do it? Because I could have a really shitty day. I could feel like I don't really want to do the show. I'm sure you felt that way many times because it becomes a job. You feel like a hamster in a wheel. But this is what I think about 2 things. 1, this audience I have in the room, in the history of the rest of the world, I will never have them in the same room again. This is the one time I'm going to have every single person that's together tonight in the same room in the history of the world. That's a huge responsibility. Secondly, I'm Crisstopher now. When I go on stage and that happens, I become Criss Angel. And it's a switch for me. And because I've done thousands and thousands and thousands of shows, if I had to prepare like I did the first time I went on stage, I would need 10 hours a day. Like it would consume me. I literally show up, I get a massage for 20 minutes at 5:30. I then, 6 o'clock. And then 6:30, I have my cutty heel. My first, I break my fast because I fast for 20 hours a day. I have
every day? Every day?
well, basically at least 6 days a week. And so I have this drink, which is Liquor 43, 2 ounces and 2 ounces of espresso, cold espresso. It's my favorite drink. It's over ice. It wakes me up. It gives me some sugar. And then I do the show at 7. I usually have a meet and greet or whatever. And I come home and I'm going to eat dinner. I try to keep like in a mental state that allows me to turn that on and allow me to not have to, because, Dee Schneider saw my show and we were hanging out before the show because I know you.
I loved it. I love him.
And he's from Long Island, so am I.
Yeah, I know.
We've known each other since the 90s, I think.
Yeah.
When he did Strangeland or whatever that movie he did was.
Yeah.
Dee's sitting there talking to me and he's like, you got to be on stage now. And I said, yeah, well, you get your seats in and I'll go on stage. He said, I don't know how you do this. He said, before I used to do a show, I was a maniac. Like I was like all this aggression and I said, for me, it's a switch I turn on because I do it so often. For him, it was like this. He couldn't be around people. He would be aggressive. Maybe I shouldn't say it that way. Not aggressive physically, but he would be pumped up and hyped up. For me, I don't know. It's just different because I do it 5 days a week. I was doing 500 shows a year.
When we were at the Colt Stadium, that's how I feel. I mean, everyone's like, whoa, you're so chill. I went, because I know what I have to do. I know I'm going to execute. They said, don't you get nervous? I said, no. I said, I just get serious. Once I get up there, it's like that switch flips and it's like, like a.
But you have a smile on your face
Oh yeah,
when you play.
that's
And by the way,
yeah.
the band, everybody sounded amazing. Now, I know, obviously, Jim being a friend, I know he has a couple of dollars and he can afford the creme de la creme. So he has the greatest musicians which is a testament to you because he can afford anybody. And he has the greatest mixer. And it just like when you were doing was it Comfortably Numb, Pink Floyd, it sounded like it sounded like the album. Like it was and then he brought out the guitar. That solo, oh my God, that dude is sick.
Kenny Wayne
And he
Shepherd. So here's how
incredible.
I write every note out. I have a click because that tempo is either 61 or 60. No, it's 64 beats a minute. That's so slow. And the last thing I want to do is not nail that tempo because it's that song. They picked that tempo for a reason. And then eventually I turn the click off with my foot. But I'm trying to hold that real
You
slow,
feel people
good.
trying to get out of the
Yeah.
groove, not the bass player.
Well, and not the guitar players. That band plays incredibly. They're all locked in. That's the worst thing is when somebody's rushing and I'm trying to hold it. That band, everybody plays impeccable time and feel. So what we did with that song, Kenny tries to play the solo the way it is, and then the back half of that solo, we explode. We go into whatever.
Amazing.
Yeah, and it sets it up. But so that's that to do anything authentically is very, very difficult. It's the difference between sounding like a Holiday Inn band or the band that should be at Madison Square Garden.
Honestly, my only regret is that I didn't get out there fast enough and I missed some of the show because I got done doing this thing and I had to like change and so that was my only regret. But I know you guys are gonna do this again. You did it in Vegas.
Oh, you got to come out if you can. You know, I mean
Absolutely.
that was Jesus. So what do you remember did somebody teach you your first magic trick, or was it in that Christmas box that you
Well, it was my Aunt Stella that when I was 6, but then when I was, 11 years old, I got the kit and I started just playing around with it. I would go to the magic shop all the time, drive them crazy. They would show me the trick that I bought. And then I befriended this guy who was like an older guy, older than me, but like a cool guy. His name was Scott Interrante. He still performs on Long Island, and he's a friend of mine, and he was very kind and trying to help me, give me lessons. At the time, we took a few lessons, and when you're obsessed with something, you consume yourself with it, and that's all you can think about, and you become it. You know what I mean? So, what I lacked in knowledge, I made up with being curious and asking a million questions, going to every library I could because there was no Google. I went to the Google at the time, which is the card catalog, got that book from the card catalog and took it home, and some of which I never returned. I still have it.
That's awesome. You would tell me when we were in the up there in one of the boxes, you said something like at one point in Vegas you were doing, or one year you did like something like 500 performances in a year. That's almost like 2 a day.
I was doing 2 a day. That's what I was doing.
Dude, so you're not doing that now, are you?
No, well, sometimes I have to do 2 a day.
But I mean, you're not doing 500 shows a year.
No, I've slowed down. I've slowed down. I think I'm around. Depends if I tour because I also do one nighters when I tour. But if I don't do the one nighters, I'm about 200 right now. I'm 55. I'm almost 56. I have 3 children. My one kid went through hell with pediatric cancer, Johnny Crisstopher, 6+ years of it. So it kind of changes your perspective. Yeah. And like, I'm an old dad. I have a 20-month-old daughter, Alicia. I have a 4-year-old boy, Christos, and then Johnny Crisstopher, who's 9, who went through hell. So I try to like take more breaks. I try to my whole thing about life is love, light, and positivity, and to create experiences, not necessarily buy materialistic things, but spend the money in creating memories because that's what my kids are going to remember. Because my dad passed on, and that's what I remember about my dad and how awesome he was. So my whole thing is let me create these amazing experiences as they grow up that when I'm no longer here, that they'll reflect upon, and hopefully I'll give them some solid, good life lesson advice that they'll take with them and basically, be wonderful, positive, loving people that are happy. Because that's the most important thing. It's not money doesn't make you happy. I see lots of people that have money and they're miserable.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the ripple effect of your joy, your happiness, your love will affect everybody around you.
I try to make it infectious because you know what? For me, and I don't put my faith on anyone, but we live in a great country where we can believe what we wish. But God is so real to me. And without God, I'm nothing. And so for me, it's more about looking at those teachings and lessons as I get older with my children. And look, I'm not a saint in any way. I do lots of things wrong, but my goal is to be the best artist I can be and the best human being I can be. And that is what I work towards every day. That's why charity is so important. That's why, you know, being down to earth and not believing that bullshit that I hear, whether good, bad, or indifferent. I know who I am. These people don't know me, whether for the better or for the worse. But and that's really what I try to do now. And I try to create those experiences so that it fuels me to want to be there, for my daughter so she'll never meet a guy like I was when I was a teenager.
I mean, but yeah, I mean, man, you are saying all the things I believe in. It's amazing. We've learned the same things in our own paths. And I don't believe in mistakes or failures. There's just events that got us where we are. I mean, you could sit there because if I say, because I can tell you're like me, man. You can be really hard on yourself. So now that I'm a little bit older, I start to go like, instead of saying you've effed up or you get hard on yourself, I go like, hey, dude, chill. You're gonna get this because you always do. Now the difference is when you say you fucked up, it reminds you of all the time that you heard that as a little kid and it crushed you. So instead of doing that, I don't want to feel those feelings. So I go like, hey, dude, just like Tom Brady and Mahomes, these guys that get sacked, they just push it away. You reject negativity, and you think about, I can get this, but with a positive head.
Well, the past doesn't define you.
Yeah. It just helps you get where you're going. I mean, dude, okay, you just made me think this is crazy.
And I can't believe you're 70, by the way.
I know, isn't that crazy?
That's the craziest thing to me. That's crazy.
Well,
That's a mind freak, an illusion.
isn't that weird? I mean,
Yeah,
I don't feel like I'm 70. It's like,
that's why.
I mean, my blood work, I get blood work every year, and it's just like I'm in my 20s. It's just weird. I mean, you know, uh, dude, you got to tell me about this crazy thing you did. 24 hours in like a tank, like a telephone booth, then downtown at Times Square, and then you're 24 hours in water, breathing through, I think, a hose or a tube, and then you do an act when you come out, like you disappear and you're shackled up. I mean, dude.
I was the first guy, I think, on record to spend 24 hours underwater. The first hour, I was upside down and I had 20 pounds of chains and leg irons as an homage to Houdini. And this was live on Good Morning America. Then the remaining 23 hours, I was right side up, but I still had to have all this weight on me. So I spent 24 hours. I was willing to die in there because I wanted to succeed so badly that I said the only way I'm coming out of here is under my free will or in a body bag, but I'm not going to fail doing this. and it got a lot of attention at 5 in the morning. I remember somebody brought I think it was the New York Post, and I'm on the cover of it, and they're showing it to me through the glass, and it freaked me out. I was so excited. And then I was live on Good Morning America to do my escape at the end. But I did. I've done a lot of crazy things. I broke the record. I hung for 6 hours by 6 fishhooks in the middle of Times Square with no painkillers, nothing. Then I was the first person ever to hang by 4 fishhooks from a helicopter from my cleft with nothing. And I flew 1,000 feet above the Valley of Fire here in Vegas. I've done a lot of really. I floated above the Luxor Pyramid, 550 feet, and it's not like CGI. It's like I did this stuff practically. Obviously, I didn't really levitate on there. There was an illusion to it, but the audience or the spectators down below couldn't see how it was working. So we created like the perfect illusion for that time. But I've risked my life a lot of times, including what I just did, for charity with Jim Irsay, and that was the upside down straitjacket, which Houdini used to take 5 minutes to escape from at a lot lower height. And I was up over 100 feet and was in a regulation straitjacket, and I escaped in, I think it was like 29 or 30 seconds, and then I basically free fall, did like a little free fall down, probably about 85 feet, and then came to the ground. And anything that can go wrong eventually does go wrong. So it's not something that I enjoy doing because of my children and I want to be around for them, but it's something I did because of the cause and our foundation, the Johnny Christopher Children's Charitable Foundation. We raise millions of dollars, and the difference between this foundation and any other one, for the most part, is that we don't take a penny out for any expense. Every single cent that we raise goes to these kids. And so we've donated in the last, 7 months, well over $1 million. And then I'm having this function December 18th, which I think you might be attending.
Oh, yeah. I want to be there. I want to be there.
But we have a bunch of, Rob and Xander from Cheap Trick will be doing a set, and Tammy and from Faster Pussycat, and Phil from LA Guns, Sebastian Bach, the former singer of Skid Row, and
I know all these guys.
Winger, and
yeah.
I think Dee's coming down. And last year, Paul Stanley, a dear friend. So we auction off guitars. We raise money. It's around Christmas time. It's a beautiful thing, and try to raise a lot of money. I pay for all the expenses out of my pocket. So hopefully we can continue to raise money for these kids that are battling for their lives. It's a horrible situation to see, and I lived it.
Dude, oh my God. Well, I definitely want to be there. I already marked it on my calendar. I even called up Brent Woods. I texted him, dude.
He's the musical director.
Yeah, immediately I said, Brent, I gotta be there. I told him.
What did he say?
He said, yeah.
Yeah.
Because
George Lynch is coming. He's gonna come by. And then Rudy Sarzo,
bass player.
He's an amazing bass player, right? White Snake. What did he do? Quiet Riot.
Quiet Riot was his
Ozzy. He was
Ozzy.
Yeah. And then Phil, I can never say he's a friend of mine. Sue's he's a bass player too. Phil he wrote Shot in the Dark.
Yeah.
He was in Ozzy's.
Phil Susan.
Yeah.
Great guy. Great guy.
Awesome.
Dude.
Guy.
So what about talking about that? Your band, Angeldust. Tell me about that whole thing. I mean, you ended up making like 5 albums or something?
Yeah, and a lot of music I used in my show.
Oh, that's
yeah. And I have new stuff that I recorded with an artist. His name is Klayton, but his band name is Celldweller. But he does programming, producing, and he's in the whole kind of electronic scene and dubstep and that type of music. And we were working together. We wrote a Linkin Park record before Linkin Park came out in 1993 or 4, and it was too ahead of its time, honestly. And when Linkin Park came out, we were like, "Holy shit, that is our sound!" Like, I could play it. You can, send you some tracks. It's crazy, but I love music. Shaunyl, my better half, is an incredible musician. She sings a couple songs that I produced and wrote with her in the show, and she's just an amazing singer. I love being around music. You know, music can bring you back instantaneously to when you were a kid, and it could just set the tone, and you could escape reality with music. It's an illusion, you know, and so for me, I'm just and I have such a diverse, eclectic taste in music. I can listen to Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, then I can listen to Billy Joel and John Cougar, Mellencamp. By the way, I watched a documentary that you were on about Jack and Diane and about that drum fill that you came up with that really was like a big part of that song. But I was so disappointed, no disrespect to John, but as a fan, and when I heard that song, he did the whole thing acoustic, and I was waiting for it. I'm like, here it comes. Here it. I guess it's not coming.
Dude, I went to see him play at the Hollywood Bowl, and I was like, it was so cool to see those songs that I had recorded and had performed for 17 years with him. And we get to Jack and Diane, and they skip the drum solo. I'm like, what? And the audience was looking at me like, here it comes, Kenny. We're gonna air drum with you, and then went right by. And we're like, what? That'd be like skipping that drum fill that Phil Collins did in the Air Tonight. It's like go 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 go. You're like,
yeah, no.
What?
And the crazy thing is you moved over, I think, to Jim Irsay's box, right? I don't know if he was there.
No, I was off the drum set while he did that.
No. I'm talking about the day of the game.
Oh, yeah. I was in Jim's box, yes.
So, because I saw you, and that part was coming up because they played it, and the mascot did the drum part. You were watching me laugh.
I was laughing because
I saw you, because I'm looking. I wanted to see as if a drummer could resist, especially that they created the part. Would he actually air drum that, or he just sit there and be cool and listen to it? What would you have done if? What did you do? Kind of laughed, right?
I laughed because I was laughing at. Instead of air drumming, I was laughing at the mascot, doing it. I thought that was hilarious. Apparently, they had me on Fox News, national news, and of course when they came in on me, they showed me with Mellencamp at the Irsay thing. Then they cut to me in the box, and of course, I was texting. I wish they'd let me
Hopefully, it wasn't me.
Yeah. Hey, Criss, what's up, man? Oh my God, dude, that is. I'm really excited. I can't wait till this December 18th.
Well, you're welcome to come out anytime you want. I plan a Hollywood MINDFREAK hang. I do it Wednesday through Sunday at 7:00. So, and all the people watching and listening to this now, I'm so grateful for the support. And if you're ever in Vegas and you want to have an experience that you can never have anywhere else in the world, I'd like to invite you personally to see MINDFREAK, because we have a tornado in the show. Like literally, I'm doing the straight jacket, and I'm the nucleus of a tornado where winds, real winds and debris and shit's flying around, and the entire audience is immersed in it. They're not watching me do it. They're in the storm. There's so many different things like that. There's a blizzard that happens. I levitate and fly around, and it's just like the most, like my most iconic, my greatest hits, if you will, for a lack of a better term, I do every night. So people see the stuff that I did on TV that they're like, there's no way, that's bullshit, that's trick for time, that's CGI, that's a crane, that's how he's levitating, it's a crane, honey. And then they see in full light, and they're just like, and then I pick somebody up and I fly away with them. So you get stuff like that, like real, and then tons of, like, Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons love the show because it's very theatrical. Tons of effects. As a matter of fact, Paul originally, when they were going out to Kiss, asked me if I was interested in getting involved and help directing their show. And I was opening up my show at the time, so I wasn't able to. But they sent me their last residency in Las Vegas, and I watched it for about a week, and I gave a bunch of notes and stuff. And then the guy they got to do it they used a lot of the stuff that I suggested, and their show was awesome. But they love theatricality, and I think my show embodies that.
That's true. That makes it looks like Cirque du Soleil on steroids. I can't wait. That's incredible. So ideas are constantly going through your head all the
I
time.
can't
And
sleep. That's my biggest
okay,
problem.
that's great though.
Yeah,
And I don't sleep good either. I sleep 2 hours, wake up, sleep 2 hours, wake up, sleep an hour,
exactly.
wake up. But yeah,
Do you have a
Sammy
pad and paper next to your bed?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, 'cause that's what I do. I get up and I'm writing shit
that's
down.
great. You know, Sammy's the same way. Hagar, he's like, what he's great at. It sounds like you're great at. I do the same thing. You come up with an idea, but we know how to get it executed, and we know that we can. You can't set it and forget it. You were talking about, the worst thing. It's one, like you said, it's hard to become successful. Way harder to stay successful. You can't set it and forget it. I always say what got me where I am, which was a shitload of work and discipline, is I still am doing that today. At my age, it's the same work ethic. I spent, a gazillion hours yesterday and the day before preparing for even this and preparing for the speech tour I'm going on and preparing for something else. There's no complaining. It's just that this is what you do to get what you want. And it's not over. It's just you keep going until it's time to go. It's just that's what it is. And I think that's awesome, man. You know what? I read this incredible thing. I mean, your show is you have actually, I mean, this is like Newsweek and Business Week. They talk about you've brought millions and millions of dollars into the local economy in Las Vegas. I mean, you are putting food on people's tables
Yeah,
and
we
you're
generate my show is
incredible.
and again, I don't say this conceitedly, I say this confidently because I put forth the effort to be able to say this. So my show is basically the number one best-selling not magic show in Vegas as far as a residency show. I'm not comparing myself to Aerosmith that comes in and does, 3 performances in 2 months or whatever they would do, and they're playing so much bigger. I'm talking about like every night, as many shows as I do. And so we bring in about $150 million a year in direct ticket sales, indirect room stays, food, gambling, merchandise. And yeah, so it's a significant number. And back in the day, I made like maybe $28,000 a year. So, and then I opened up that little show on Broadway and 43rd at the WWE in 2001. And that show, I had to make like, I think it was $28,000 a week to pay my bills. And for somebody that didn't make 28 grand a year, it was nerve wracking, but I was able to do it. Now the numbers are much greater, but it, it's just extra numbers. You have to be fiscally responsible and disciplined. And no matter what business you want to start, anyone that's watching this, you got to reverse engineer it. You got to look at, okay, what is this going to ultimately cost me? What is it going to cost me? And that's not only for the product or the service I'm providing or the marketing and the merchandise, whatever it is. But I have to also think about, what is the profit margin? Is it something that could be competitive in the real world? And you have to be smart about this stuff. And I always say to people, when I used to come up with an illusion, I learned a valuable lesson. I came up with this illusion. I ran off, and at the time I had no money, and we got this thing built. And it wasn't what I wanted. I was like, oh, I wish I did this. I wish I did this. And I jumped into the fire without being prepared. And so what I do now is I garbage bag test things. I do a little prototype. If I have an idea for an illusion, I make a little drawing, a doodle of it, then we'll work it out, then we'll build a little model, then we'll use spit and glue with cardboard and make a full scale thing to look at it. And so I always suggest to do things as inexpensively as possible as a proof of concept, whether you have $1 billion or you have $1, because that will tell you and give you so many questions. You'll answer things. and it will evolve and transform the idea tremendously. I have a couple of projects I'm working on right now, like a rock club and some other things. And I talk about it, think about it, let it simmer, come up with stuff. I just don't. I'm not impulsive. I used to be impulsive, and I learned the valuable experience of not being that way, trying to be passionate, but really be methodical with how you approach an idea or a dream.
That's incredible. But you also have a team of people. You have people that you can talk to get it executed, right?
Oh, I,
Gotta.
I have a big team. I have a 60,000 square foot studio that is like a very sophisticated technological um, laboratory where I can do anything from shoot video to edit to stop motion to whatever I want to do with literally uh, uh, 3D
Yeah, everything.
ability. Yeah,
Everything.
and then I also have a full fabrication shop. I have a sound stage, which Aerosmith was actually going to use before Steven went into rehab 2 days before. They already sent their gear to my place, but I was letting them use it to rehearse their Vegas residency. So I have a big sound stage area, and then I have my merchandising. Everything is in two buildings. Each building's 30,000 square feet, and it's basically my studio where I can create whatever's in my brain and I can bring it to life and try to keep things fresh.
Very cool, man. You never had a plan B, did you? It was magic, music.
I put kind of all my eggs in one basket. I really did. I didn't really. I hated doing private shows. Like when I got hired to do a lot of I used to do when I was a kid, I used to do school shows. I would do birthday parties. I would do bar mitzvahs. I would do corporate events. I mean, I played in like S&M clubs. I done a lot of different things, and I never was into it because I always felt like I would walk in and I couldn't really do anything substantial because I didn't know the circumstances I'd be working in. And with magic, it matters. It's not like you bring a three-piece kit and you're like, okay, sit up in the corner and you just come play. If people stand around you, it's okay. But for me, it becomes more challenging technically to do that. So to have a residency show, which was my dream, to have a television series, which was my dream, I just put all my eggs in one basket, which by the way, I would never recommend to do. Always have a plan B, but I was just that type of person.
Me too, dude. There was never a plan B. Never a plan B. It's like, this is it. It's like do or die. You know, I have this saying, it's I'll never be as great as I want to be, but I'm willing to spend my entire life trying to be as great as I can be. It's just,
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, just trying to always score touchdowns. I mean, those great running backs don't get touchdowns every time, but they spend their whole life trying because they love it.
Yeah.
So, one more thing, dude. Is there anything that you haven't done that you really in your heart you want to do? Are you at that? Is there something you're going like, I'm going to do this, blah, 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 whatever that is?
Right now, I have about 7 different projects. Um, 2 of them are with the subject matter that people know me for, and a lot of them are things that have nothing to do with what people know me for. So, like, my whole thing is performing my show is a blessing, but it's a job. You know, going there and doing that show is a job. Yes, I enjoy it. Sometimes I hate it, but I'm grateful to be able to do it. And when I'm on stage and I'm performing, I love it. It's getting to that place. But what I love doing more than anything is creating. I'm a creative soul. I had the honor of working with the most prolific director in the entertainment field. His name was Franco Dragone. He passed away recently, tragically. But he created the whole look, feel, everything that is Cirque du Soleil. He created that. His show that he directed was Cirque du Soleil O, There, Kidam, the greatest Cirque shows in their portfolio and their most successful financially are only his shows. And then he also did Celine Dion A New Day when they opened up the Coliseum. I had the honor of working with him a couple of times, but we did a show together where I was directing and we were partners, and he was the artistic director. And we were going to do three more shows together. But I learned so much from Franco. Like, I had a once in a lifetime experience. Like, the knowledge that I gained from this man, as a wonderful friend, but as this epic director of live entertainment, there's no one in the world that can fill his shoes. And I just was so blessed to be that he respected my art and what I created enough to want to partner up with me and share those things with me. And so for me, I just love creating. I love creating. I'll create a show. I'll create a TV show. I'll create a gourmet Italian ice. I'll create a liquor. Whatever it is, I'm always down to create. Could be anything. I love it. Music, anything.
That's great, man. Well, you're going to just create until it's time to go, or, you're gone. That's so cool. Man, thank you. If I could hug you, I'd hug you, but I can't.
Well,
So I'm gonna try to get to Vegas.
Yeah, come out.
I'm gonna try before the 18th of December, but I'm definitely coming there on the 18th. I'm gonna call Brent up again today and say, dude, I got to play with at least 3,000 of the bands. But Criss, man, thank you so much. I guess I look forward to seeing you perform.
Yeah, and thank you so much for having me. And if people want come see the show, you can always get tickets at ChrissAngel.com. If you want to donate to the charity, ChrissAngelHelp.com. And Criss Angel everything, Instagram, Facebook, X, as they call it now, the cool kids. But listen, man, Kenny, I want to thank you so much for being so gracious, being so wonderful, and I'm so grateful, more than doing your show, that I have a new friend. Thank you.